Alright, Mud Island right here. Wore myself out, pulling myself out of the sand there. There's no mud on Mud Island. We're all headed out this way. Army Hole. I'm headed for a hidden pass. You see, we're leaving in the rain. Maybe you can't see. There's a pretty good storm right there. Radar says it's going the other way. Oh, it doesn't look like it. But a little bit of rain. Everyone's booking out to outrun it. And it was a good night last night. Buddy's grog made everyone happy. We partied after midnight. I'm surprised people were up at 5 and 6. So we're off and gone. I got a can of Chef Boyardee ravioli going for breakfast, and we're making a run for it. I'm headed for a hidden pass because all these boats aren't going to fit into Army Hole, and I'll have nowhere to dock. So I'm going to hit hidden pass. I really like it. Been there a few times. Got a few other people rallied in that might join me there. So that's the plan. We're going to try and outrun the storm. Let's rock and roll. Alright, we got a rainstorm going there. We got a rainstorm going there. We got that there. I'm going to check the radar again. It said it's going the other way, but it sure seems to be pacing us here. So, most of the pack's in front of me. I was one of the last ones off the beach. One of the last ones to bed last night. It all goes together. But, we're rocking and rolling. Slowly catching up with the fleet though, and just staying ahead of the rain. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Alright, back to it. Should cross long before we get there. We're cutting across the bay now to get to the ICW. Head that east or north, however you want to count it. Pretty well caught up with the crew here. They were well ahead of me. Bob Carson right there in his Penny May Double Master. I love that boat. Some of the crew looks like they're getting lost up in the rain there, doesn't it? But the rest of it, I can't see directly behind me. Too bad out there. I saw this one on the radar earlier. It was forming out there. It was going to be ahead of us. We get the ICW, we turn, and that should be gone. And hopefully we just outrun all this and it'll be beautiful the rest of the day. That's the plan, guys. I can use the camera right now. Look behind me. Okay, no craziness there that I can see. Let's get this done. Get this done. 29 miles as the buzzard flies to go. Some trimming here. I'm starting to get some of the effects of the storm and wind starting to kick out and change. See what happens. Nothing else. We'll just coast around here and let it pass. Alright, we got a light sprinkle going as we're closing in on this guy, but when we turn towards the sunshine, it'll be good. And you see this is an old well. Petroleum companies have not been kind to the Texas coast. They leave this shit everywhere. So we're in 9.5 feet of water. And this is why you don't venture off the ICW at night unless you've got a lot of knowledge of the water around you. Because this isn't on the charts. There's a handful of these things out here. I've been 10 feet off the ICW before and hit something under the water in 12 feet of water. It's a pipe that doesn't quite come to the surface. But you can see our crew pretty well disappeared off into the rain. I cut it a little sharper and slowed down to get over to the ICW. Before there's some shallows up here, that's what they're having to deal with the turn. I got a little more local knowledge than some of them, I think. Because now we're up into where I go sailing frequently, several times a year. So we just got to get to the ICW, which is coming up here pretty quick, and take a right turn. Let's go do it. Hopefully we don't get any more wet than we already are. It kind of feels good right now. Alright, made it up into the ICW, and we had another pop-up just come in off the Gulf. It's kind of messing with our wind, but we got wind right, like hard to the nose. But, I'll take it as long as get us the rest of the way. And stay dry. And as we clear the one I just showed you, we got this one popping up. I think this is going to be a theme for much of the day. Hopefully it'll stop. Now we got another one forming. I think he'll be by before we cut through. Only because we're only doing 4 miles an hour because we just got no wind, and it's all coming from the north, from our head. They're gonna work harder. So we're just working it out, dodging the tugs. What's it say? Oh, it says we're gonna be like almost dark when we get there. Hopefully we'll get a blast of wind here somewhere along the way, and I'll pick that up. Usually we do come afternoon winds because it is now 11:30. Go for afternoon air, get some heat in here, get some air moving, get us to where we need to go.
They look at me like I was retarded. Hit them with the horn, and then all they do is they start flinging their arm in there because they want me to blow it again.
Yeah, they just been on the PA telling these guys to get out of the way, and they just turn around and attack. They just turn around and go right back in front of them. It's not like you could stay. I'm not on a motor. I can stay up here. Turn around, it's going to go right back in front of them. Don't do that. Actually got on the horn and said it'll get them killed. Don't be out there in the middle of the ICW, get them killed. So now they busted just, I don't know, now they're going to turn around and go back. I have no clue who it is and what the hell they're thinking. Because that is not a good move. So everyone's trying to break out the motor. We sat around with no wind, and then when it did come up, it's right on the nose, and then it's not very strong yet to do anything with anyway. So we're all chugging along here. We're out in the bay. We get on the other side of this bay. I'll be cutting down around Steamboat Island and looking for hidden pass for the night. So we take a turn out in the bay in a little over 3.5 miles. I'll yell at you then. So everything went as planned, and here's Hidden Pass. Now, Hidden Pass has gone through some big storms lately, and it's kind of changed the geography of the shoreline. And after multiple times trying to get into the beach, you can see here, this is as close as I could get, and I'd hit bottom, and I have to reverse back out. So this gave me 2 viable options. I could backtrack 8.5 miles to Panther Point. I love Panther Point. Several people spent the night there. Or I could make a run for Port O'Connor. It was a few miles to Army Hole, but like I said, it's all packed up with boats. I'm not able to fit my boat in there, and if I can, it'll be about dark, and then I got to finish getting over to Port O'Connor, which is another several hours in the dark. So I chose to make the run for Port O'Connor. And this is a grueling run, right into the wind, 3-4 foot waves coming over the bow, drenching me. It was miserable. Now, if you notice, the voltage in my system started at a 12 volts 8 this morning. It usually starts out in the high 13, low 14 volt range. So much of the day it was slowly losing the voltage. We were underneath the clouds, and the sail was up. Even if you're on the motor, the sail's up, giving it shade on the solar panels. So by the time I got to the ICW, I was still several miles away from Port O'Connor. I was down to 12.4 volts, 12.3. So as I didn't get any video of all this craziness because it was crazy, I'm going to throw up postings from Facebook submitted by other sailors out here on the Texas 200. And although I've never used one of these LifePo batteries, this is the first time I really used a lithium, so I don't know exactly where the cutoff. They go off like a switch versus a regular battery just slowly loses its power. And I know my GPS dies at 11 volts. It shuts off automatically. So once I found the pass to the ICW, I shut it off just to save the voltage. At that point, I was 12 hours into a 10 amp hour battery. At Magnolia Beach at the Rambos, we got a support crew there babysitting the house and hanging out all week. And I gave them a call to know that I was going to round the point there out into Matagorda Bay. And I figured I'd make it up to the beach about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I was wondering if anyone's there available to pick me up or bring my car. And they said it'd be no problem. They'd watch for my lights going across the bay from the house. But as I got down the ICW closer to Matagorda Bay, the wind was picking up and my voltage was dropping, and there was more and more things saying, nah, I better not go out in the open water. So I went with plan B, stopping Port O'Connor at the Inn at Clark's. It's a hotel there on the water with docks. I know Christy and the owners there, and we're all friends, and that was my plan B, was to go hit familiar grounds in Port O'Connor. Just as I made that decision, my phone rang. It was my buddy Lannis up in Port Magnolia, one of the support crew at the house. Just to let me know that he had my car and trailer, was bringing to the house, so when I was ready, to let him know. Well, I told him my plan to stop at Port O'Connor for the night. Him and his wife, Lisa, we did that on another Texas 200. We both sheltered in there for the last night, so he knew the deal, and he grew up in that area fishing. He knows it well. And he offered to just come get me there at the boat ramp at Port O'Connor, right there where I'd be, and we'll get it on the trailer. And I said, sure, bring it on. It saves me sleeping on the deck. And I was tired. And right after we hung up from that phone call, the nav lights went out. The battery had hit its limit. It switched off. I had no power, no nav lights. I pulled out the cell phone, put the flashlight of my cell phone on to illuminate the boat for the last mile into the marina, and I called it right there. 11 miles around the corner is Magnolia Beach, where I had a motor to the next day. That was my plan. No problem. Do it easy. Sun hits the solar panels in the morning. I'd be charged back up anyway. But he offered to bring my gear right over to me and help me load it up. I'm no fool. I took it, and that was where I ended the whole trip. So Lannis and I got the whole rig back to the house at Magnolia Beach. At about 1 a.m., I took a long shower in the outdoor shower at the Rambos, and then slept on the couch like a baby. And I might pay it back or forward, or whichever way it is. I spent the next day, we have a big shrimp boil and party at the beach as everyone arrives. Since I was already settled in, I spent the 4 hours the next day on the road collecting people who couldn't get up to the beach because of low winds and stuff scattered up and down the coast. So I was out rescuing sailors all day long. I wish I had video of the last stretch of that whole trip there in the boat, but I was tired. It got real nasty on the bay, and I was hanging on for my dear life. I swear it was just ugly. And recording a video was, I'm there to sail number one and do a video number two. And I had to resort to number one to get my ass up in there and write. And I never even thought about turning on a camera. So I'm sorry for the anticlimactic end, but explain exactly how I finished up the 200 and how it all went. It was a great time. It was a light wind this year. We got one big storm that took out a ton of people and busted people up there on day one. We had a bunch of little ones on the way. It was a slow. Usually the problem is high wind. This year the problem is low wind, but it was a good run, and we're all excited to do it again next year. So this is where the obligatory like and subscribe blurb comes in. I want to thank everyone on my Patreon page. You guys rock. You really help out. And again, subscribe, because I'm going to take you bastards sailing.